WhatCulture fans, it's Simon Miller here to do ups and downs for NXT. Now I know you were expecting Adam Nicholas, maybe you were, maybe you weren't. Whoa, no, I don't think so. You just can't just wander in here whenever you feel like and just decide to take over the show. You've got all the other ones, just give me this one. Oh, I see, the silent treatment. Tell you what, I thought you were better than this. Come on, out you go. I'll escort you. Oh, come on. Oh. 2 weeks ago on NXT, Lacey Evans called out a whole host of names on the women's division in NXT, and one of them that just so happened to be called out was the psychotic Scotswoman, Nikki Cross. As a result, we had Cross taking on Evans in the first match of the night, and it's the first time we've seen Cross in action since her defeat in the Fatal 4-Way at TakeOver bloody War Games. What on earth has she not been doing on television? I realise she was involved with a little spat with the Undisputed Era and has been a couple of times, but it's the first time we've seen her in the ring, and my word, it has been sorely missed. Great to see Nikki back on NXT TV. Nice to see Lacey Evans getting her first shot at a pay-per-view match, I believe, and to be fair, nothing fancy here, nice and short, nice and sweet. Nikki Cross got the win in a very short 2 minute and a bit match. Nothing else to report home, other than the fact that it's definitely an up. Now I'm going to cheat slightly here, in fairness, so my apologies, but technically this was still on the episode of NXT. We had recaps from a bunch of matches that took place at TakeOver Philadelphia, and I decided I would make sure I didn't take the piss. I'm not going to take the piss, but I would like to do my favourite men's match and, of course, my favourite women's match. This one won't be very difficult, given that there was only one on the bloody card. Now, Ember Moon and Shayna Baszler's work to build this match had been exceptional, and I was hoping that the match at TakeOver was going to do the same. However, I was wrong, and I can't believe I'm saying this, I was painfully wrong. They didn't manage that at all. They did not manage that, because they only went and f***ing exceeded it by absolute boatloads, like absolute f***ing boatloads. What an absolute masterclass from these two, really good to see. Baszler was amazing for her first match. She dominated for large periods of the match, looking really vicious from the get-go. She was clinical in the working down of the arm of Ember Moon. Some might say, very Cerebral Assassin-esque, you know? Almost as if someone has given her some tips in that direction. Who knows? Obviously, Baszler's MMA background had a massive effect in the match. They played on it a lot of holds, a lot of strong submissions from Baszler. Ember Moon selling like a dream, as always, making Baszler look very, very dangerous indeed. Moon did manage to get some offense of her own in, including an eclipse at one point, but she wasn't able to capitalise, and Baszler had already done enough damage to her arm. In the end, just when it looked like Baszler was going to get the win, she had Moon in a submission hold. Ember Moon selling like a dream. Honestly, she looked like she was in so much pain, but she is the veteran, and it showed in this one. She outsmarted Baszler with one quick little roll-up, got the quick pin, got the quick win, and managed to escape with her title intact. Ember may have retained, but it was Shayna Baszler who ended the night looking more dangerous as she came up after the match, beat the living tar out of Ember Moon, got her in another submission hold, wouldn't let go, really went to town on her. She walked away looking like the champion and the winner. Incredible stuff from these two, really right up my street, and in fairness, more than worthy of a good old-fashioned up. Now, as you may or may not have noticed, I know I've only been doing this 2 weeks, but there are some patterns starting to occur, and one of them is that I have a tendency to struggle to give it down to NXT, mostly because it's just so bloody good. I'm not here to tell you that that's going to change, because unfortunately, it's not. We might as well get used to that now, because that is just the way it's going to be. However, I just thought I'd remind you of that before I inevitably gave you a pedantic and debatable down for this week's episode of NXT. Anyway, the post-TakeOver backstage clips. Kayla Braxton was going about grabbing a bunch of people after the matches at TakeOver, and all of these little clips where they were getting them and they were talking after the match, they were really short. I wanted a little bit more from them, you know? I felt like they were doing lots of little ones, when I think what I might have suggested was do a few less, but have them a bit longer, so we got a bit more development from each character. I know it's picky. I realise as I say it out loud, it's pathetic and it's picky, but unfortunately, that is the way the cookie crumbles, and that's the way it was, and that's the way, I like it. Yes, so it's a down. Anyway, great to see TM61 back this week. They haven't been on television for 1 year, well, probably more than that at this point, but they were up against the Ely brothers, a developmental pairing, and also twin brothers from NXT. The promo packages they put out seem to have worked a treat, as TM61 were very over with the crowd. Big chance for them throughout the match, but you could tell the guys really wanted to prove what they could do regardless, and they worked absolutely tireless from bell to bell to make sure people didn't forget how good they really were. They weren't given long to shine, but they kept the tempo high, they kept the tag team tandems and the aerial assault flowing throughout the match. Really good from these two guys, and it's fair to say, no signs of ring rust from either of them, especially Thorne, who's obviously been out with the injured knee. All in all, it was of course a win for TM61, that was never in doubt. They got the win, Ely Brothers got the experience, and altogether, if you add these two teams into the tag division that's currently there, Undisputed Era, Authors of Pain, Sanity, Heavy Machinery, Street Profits to name a few, as well as perhaps the incoming guys of, I don't know, a small matter of War Machine, then my God, what a tag team division it looks like they've got at the moment. Looking forward to seeing what matches come out of there in the near future. Expect TM61 to be right up there at the top of that list. For me, I have to say this one, of course, was enough. He's nobody's favourite announcer, but it's fair to say Percy Watson really stepped up to the plate in the absence of Nigel McGuinness this week. Watson was tasked with stepping into the role of colour commentator this week, and it's fair to say he did a fine job. Nothing but respect for Watson, who clearly stepped up to the plate this weekend. It's fair to say he can obviously do the job, but in a three-man booth of commentary team, it seems like he gets lost a little bit in the shuffle. Nevertheless, stellar work for me, and it's an up. Now then, my f***ing Jesus, sweet Christmas, holy shit balls. Whew, what a match this was, and my little rebel heart was pounding like never before. Of course, I am talking about the recap that we got on NXT of the match from NXT TakeOver Philadelphia, which was Gargano versus Andrade Cien Almas for the NXT title. Now, excuse me in advance for gushing, but my God, this match was incredible. It was absolutely incredible. In fact, that might even be an absolutely terrible understatement for this particular match. It's matches like this that remind you why you fell in love with wrestling, and to be honest, there is absolutely no feeling like it in the world. Knowing full well that Zelina Vega was probably going to get involved, knowing full well that Candice LeRae was probably going to get involved, knowing full well that somewhere, somehow, Tommaso Ciampa was quietly waiting to do something horrible to Johnny Gargano. Knowing all of that, and the fact that the odds were completely stacked against Gargano, I was sat there praying for a Gargano win. Gargano and Almas put on a match that was so good it managed to eclipse Baszler versus Moon, pun intended. It also managed to throw into dispute which was the better match between Adam Cole and Aleister Black, and this one, pun also intended. Despite all of this though, despite everything about it, unfortunately, it wasn't to be the fairy tale ending that I had dreamed of. Almas retained his title, and it says so much to the fact that he looked so good and so incredible in this match that my disappointment and broken heart was probably at the absolute minimal, because when you watch a match like that, you've just literally got to take your hat off and say thank you, because what an absolute pleasure it was to see that one. The wait for Johnny Gargano's NXT title reign goes on, and to be fair, it looks like it's only going to go on longer because Ciampa is back. He attacked Gargano at the end of the match, whacking him with his crutch. Oh, the metaphors. But it's safe to say those two are probably going to be going into a program, and that one, hopefully, is going to get paid off when we get to take over New Orleans come April. I could talk about this match literally forever, for days and days and days. It was so good, and everything that happened after it, and everything before it, and everything that's included with it, and tied to it, and anything you want to talk about. But it's safe to say, if you haven't guessed already, this is the most uppiest of ups that I have ever upped in my short tenure here doing NXT ups and downs. But let's get back to the action that happened last night, and finally we had the match between Roddy Strong and Tyler Bate. NXT putting on another absolutely brilliant main event for the second consecutive week in a row. This would of course been even better were it not for the fact that the match between Gargano and Almas seems to have broken all of the matchometers in the world. People are just going mental about this match, and rightly so, but nevertheless this match between Bate and Strong was still really, really good. The number one contendership for the UK title was on the line between these two, and the duo held absolutely nothing back. It was hard hitting, it was high tempo, it was strong style, whether it was British strong style or Roddy strong style. And this was the first match for me where Bate felt like he was the young man against a much older, much more experienced man. I know it's obviously, there's a huge age gap there, but it's the first time it felt like that was actually a factor in this. And I think that little tidbit between the whole thing is something they should revisit, because that is definitely a dynamic I could see working in the future. It was Roddy Strong though who got the win after the messiah of the backbreaker unleashed an absolute torrent of backbreakers throughout the match, ending with the end of Heartache, which really finished Bate off despite a very valiant showing from the young Brit. And that means Roddy Strong is the number one contender for the UK title, and a match with the Bruiserweight awaits. Excellent psychology from two brilliant in-ring storytellers, and of course that means we end this week's episode on a rather spiffing little up. And that is a wrap on another episode of NXT Ups and Downs. Look, we made it to a third episode. That's all down to you because you have been putting your comments and your feedback in on the YouTube page, and Hank, who's been reading it. So thank you, Hank, as always. He'll be there again this week, so let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and if you're feeling really generous, head over to WhatCulture.com, maybe even go and read the NXT Ups and Downs article by one Mr. Andy Murray. No, not that one, it's the one we have in the office. In fact, you may have seen him on a news piece. Shout out to Andy Murray for doing his first on-screen news piece. More to come from him. Nevertheless, my name is Adam Nicholas, this has been NXT Ups and Downs, and as always, have a f***ing great day.
Manchester, February 18th and 19th. Defiant Wrestling returns to the Bowlers Exhibition Center. See Defiant Wrestling Champion, The Truth, Austin Aries. General Manager Stu Bennett, formerly known as Wade Barrett. Plus, the Women's Champion, Kaylee Ray. Leader of the Curb Crawlers, Martin Kirby. The Renegade, Mark Haskins. Liverpool's #1, Zach Gibson. The Iron Man, Joe Coffey. David Starr, Jurn Simmons, Primate, and Rampage. Suitable for all ages. Tickets from just £15 at wearedefiant.com.